signature. On top of that, Mr. Speaker, we in the legislature have been so sensitive to racism and words or symbols that some could perceive as racist that they've been removed and banned from our public schools. Mr. Speaker, just a couple weeks ago in this very room, the representative from Gardner told us that racism in Maine's farming community is so prevalent that it requires the adoption of a new law. Mr. Speaker, those of us in this room elected to represent our communities are held to a higher standard in the public eye, in part because we oversee the creation of the rules and regulations and the laws that everyone is expected to abide by, even us, especially us. And if these rules are not abided by, there is a consequence to be paid. Mr. Speaker, the thoughts posted by the representative from Hollowell on July 1st on social media were no meaningless rant. Just a part of that statement, and I quote, "Straight white men are too emotional to be in politics," end quote, by an elected member of this body is a very serious and troubling thing. Negatively singling out or excluding any person based on their sexual preference, any person based on their race, or any person based on being male or female is highly offensive and against the principles and tenets of our most basic civil rights in America. Mr. Speaker, these men, white heterosexual men, are the same men who run into burning buildings to rescue anyone and everyone. Those who wear the badge and patrol our streets to keep us safe, not knowing if they will return home at the end of their shifts, as well as those men who put on our nation's uniform and have been called to travel to all corners of the globe to free men, women, and children who oftentimes don't look like them, and far too often returning in flag-draped coffins or in pieces physically or mentally. Mr. Speaker, it's also hundreds of thousands of forgotten men in Maine being maligned. The plumber, the fisherman, the factory worker that grind out a living for themselves and their families day in and day out, providing goods and services that make all of our lives better. Mr. Speaker, the idea that these men are unfit to serve in their government based on their race or their gender or sexual orientation moves us backwards as a society, not forward. And Mr. Speaker, let's not forget about the mothers, the sisters, daughters, and granddaughters who love these white heterosexual men. I know the ones who have reached out to me are furious. Mr. Speaker, the world of every single word or action being scrutinized through the lens of some sort of bias or injustice is not the world in which I wish to live. But nonetheless, it is one that has been created in recent years in our country and state. Mr. Speaker, people are being fired from their jobs or run out of their careers almost daily around our country based on perceived offensive comments or photos on social media. Mr. Speaker, in a recent case involving the Capitol Police Chief, your joint public statement to the press was, should these professionals be unable to maintain public trust, they should tender their resignations. Mr. Speaker, it is as important, if not more important, that the public, the people we serve, trust us and trust that their government officials are subject to the same principles expected of them. Mr. Speaker, you and I and the others in this chamber have been required to attend multiple orientations concerning the importance of maintaining the public's trust in this body. As individual legislators requiring yearly financial disclosures, our communications are subject to FOIA requests, as well as any other hint of a conflict of interest, all in the name of maintaining the public's trust. I fear that if nothing of real consequence is done in this matter, the message being sent erodes the public's trust in this entire body. Mr. Speaker, see something, say something. We all saw something, a derogatory and insensitive comment directed at a specific race, gender, and sexual orientation in its full context as written. Today, with this House order, I'm saying something. In this House order, I'm asking for the representative from Hollowell, at the very least, be removed from her committee assignments and any leadership roles she may be assigned. Mr. Speaker, it's now up to you. Please do something. You have the authority and you have the power to maintain the public's trust in this body. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd ask for a roll call.
Representative from Canaan, Representative Stetkis has requested a roll call. In order for Chair to order a roll call, sufficient number having requested a roll call is in order. Chair recognizes the representative from Old Town, Representative Dunphy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move we indefinitely postpone this House order.
Representative from Old Town, Representative Dunphy has moved this item be indefinitely postponed. Chair recognizes the representative from Oxford, Representative Dillingham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I reluctantly rise to speak on this issue. I'm going to do something I'm not normally comfortable doing, and I'm just going to speak without having something written in front of me. First, I would like a roll call on the indefinite postponement, but I will be supporting the indefinite postponement. And I don't do that lightly. I don't do it because I disagree with what my seatmate has had to say. I think he was very eloquent pointing out the position that he has, along with many other members of my caucus and individuals that we've heard from over the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to support it because at the end of the day, when we are elected, we are expected to be held to a higher level. We should be conducting ourselves with civility towards each other. But when we are elected, we do not give up our freedom, our right to speech. And I have ardently defended that for my members. I think we could go through a litany of history of issues that have happened on social media or have been said elsewhere. And I've always ardently defended the ability for those members to express their beliefs. With the representative from Hollowell, her expression was that she has come to this conclusion, meaning this is her personal belief. I don't agree with it. I don't condone what she said, but I support her right to have that personal belief for whatever reasons she may have. I have concerns that if we start to go down the road of censoring our personal beliefs in this body and removing people from their committees, we won't have anyone left. Again, I do believe I would love to see, as I've called for, a public apology, as we've done in past with other members, from the member from Hollowell. But to rise to the level of removing from committee or leadership role, it does not fall within the purview of what we have set forth in our rules or in anything that comes before guidance around coming for our House Ethics Committee. So again, I will be supporting the indefinite postponement, reluctantly so, but I will always stand for our ability for every member in this chamber to be able to express their beliefs freely and rightfully. So thank you very much.
Representative from Oxford, Representative Dillingham has requested a roll call. In order for Chair to order a roll call, must have expressed desire of 1/5 members present. Sufficient number having requested a roll call is in order. The Chair recognizes the Representative from Presque Isle, Representative Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You removed some members of the opposite party for not wearing a mask. Now, this Representative Stetkis was correct. What happened, Mr. Speaker, was a lot worse than removing a mask. It was an insult to all the white people, particularly the white men in this chamber, and it deserves your immediate attention and to discipline the individual involved. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the Representative from Standish, Representative Ordway.
I did want to rise today, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues in the House. Thousands of Americans have died to defend the rights of our Constitution. If you don't agree with what the representative from Hollowell said, that's fine. But she has the right to say it, and straight white male, might be emotional, cried at the end of Rudy, believe me. I swore to defend the Constitution and her right to say whatever, my right to say whatever, Mr. Speaker, your right to say whatever. The First Amendment gives us that right. And we're here to defend the Constitution, and we all took that oath. Please defeat this motion.
Chair recognizes the representative from Naples, Representative Sebra.
I thank the Speaker and the members of the House. You know, either we believe in the basic foundational principles that make us what we are, or we don't. You and I don't agree. I don't agree with these people half the time. I don't agree with these people most of the time. But you know what? The ability for us to speak and say what we believe is the foundational principle that makes us what we are. So I would suggest to all my fellow legislators, those who can't stand me and those who can't stand me, that we take a moment and take a deep breath. And we remember what we are as Americans. Americans mean different things to different people. Danny and I here serve on transportation together. And we get along. We can talk. Other people that I've served with over the last 16 years, we can get along and we talk. The reason that we do what we do here is not because we're going to bang heads all day long. We do that. We do that because we believe in something, we believe in something, they believe in something. That's fine. But you know what? At the end of the day, you, and I know somebody's going to stand up and say you got to address the Speaker, but you can say what you want and I can say what I want. At the end of the day, I love you, you love me, and this is America, and this is Maine. God bless America. God bless Maine. And let us continue to do this in the future, no matter what the things that hold us down, the things that pit us against each other. I don't despise anybody in this room. As a matter of fact, I respect every single one of you. You know why? You were elected by the people who put you here. You too, buddy. So I'm just going to say I really support the indefinite postponement. You know why? Because God bless America and every single one of you. Thanks, Speaker.
The chair would remind members that there was a lot wrong with that speech. Comments should be addressed to the chair. Other members should not be pointed at directly, and members should be referred to by their town and then their representative so-and-so. The pending question is indefinite postponement. Is the House ready for the question? The chair open the vote. The Sergeant-at-Arms secure the chamber. There are 2 members in their seats who have not yet voted. 1 member in his seat who has not yet voted. Still 1 member in his seat who has not yet voted. Have all now voted? Chair will close the vote. Clerk run toll. Chair will announce the vote. 105 having voted in the affirmative and 21 in the negative. The motion prevails. Is there objection to all matters to be acted upon being sent forthwith? Hearing none, ordered sent forthwith.